present the annual State of the City Address to our local business community on behalf of City Council. I am very thrilled to be joined here by my colleagues on City Council who have been introduced, and this speech comes on behalf of them. The State of the City Address provides two key opportunities. So first, we're going to look back on one of the most interesting years that we've had in a very long time. And second, we're going to look ahead to 2015. There's no denying that 2015 was a harsh year for Alberta and Canada. With the loonie's value dropping and oil prices falling, a new normal has begun to emerge. But despite all this, I can say with pride that in many ways, the City of Fort Saskatchewan has continued to survive and thrive in the face of an economic uncertainty. This is partly thanks to our local industry insulating us from the worst of what much of our country has had to suffer. And some of people have even called us an economic oasis. I want you to know that our City Council recognizes the challenges we're likely to face in the coming year, and challenges some of you may already be experiencing as our province and country deal with global economic storm that, so far, we have weathered quite well. So what did 2015 hold for us? Fort Saskatchewan's population grew 5.4% to bring us to over 24,000 residents. Our municipal census throughout April and May showed unemployment at only 2%, well below the national and provincial averages for that period. Our census this spring will provide us an update on this figure, and we will find out how much that we have been impacted. Last year, the number of development permits did drop slightly from 2014's record high, but we are still above our 5-year average, and our actual construction value was up 1.5 times over the previous year. At the same time, the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation's metric for housing starts, that is, actual shovels in the ground, saw our multi-unit starts more than double, with over 300 compared to 150 in previous years. That is part of our goal, to make efficient use of our land by increasing our density to meet our regional targets. And even as construction seems to have slowed province-wide, we saw some in Fort Saskatchewan's businesses put in the hard work and determination to increase their business in the last year. And I do have approval to share a couple of their success stories. So Willow Ridge Construction has indicated that they have increased their business by 32%. Copley Fabricom, who just opened in late 2014, have already secured 80 contracts and have seen the first 2 modules roll out of their yard, and as they always say, on time and on budget. So local industry has played a major role in supporting us at the center of the Alberta's industrial heartland. And much of last year's construction work came thanks to significant expansions at Keyera, Plains Midstream, and Petrogas facilities. And at the Alberta's Industrial Stakeholder event, it gives the Mayor a great deal of pride when Jared from Keyera leans over and says, "Mayor Gale, we're doing over $600 million worth of work in the next 5 years, which is going to mean new tax dollars for the City of Fort Saskatchewan." Made me feel pretty proud. We've also watched as our old Fort Mall became the new Fort Station, and its Phase 1 has brought more new businesses and visitors to this site than is what has been seen in years. Some of those businesses, the new ones, include 2 Sergeants Microbrewery, KOA Yoga, Work and Play Clothing, and Benjamin Moore Shadfield Salon, just to mention a few. And I'm going to tell you right now, we are looking so forward to the next phase of construction being unveiled this year, which will include the jump facility and hopefully the start of some new residential units. Also complementing our downtown was the opening of Hanabi Japanese restaurant. I have to mention them because they are so unique and just add to the quality of our downtown. The West Park Commercial Centre has had ongoing development, and if you look at that area, we've had Wendy's, the second Shoppers Drug Mart open, the Best Western Hotel, and most recently, the Canadian Brew House. Development in Southport also continues to be very strong. Southport Landing is expected to start soon. South Point Commercial has had another phase in the plans. Heartland Crossing is in construction stage, and we are pleased to see the Southport Inn, along with Montana's, opening very soon, thanks to the Randauas. Also in Southport, we are very pleased to have the new K-9 school under construction, and planning for the new Catholic high school is well underway, and that will be located near the Dow Centennial Centre. It just speaks to the growth that we are having. Our light industrial sector also continues to see growth on the Transamerica Group lands, who have now rebranded themselves as TAG. They have had Dallin, Scaffold Canada, Scottford Aggregates, and several new warehouses that are popping up. And I haven't actually had time to go out and see who's in these warehouses, but if you drive through this area, you will recognize these buildings going up, and it speaks to the fact that people and businesses are coming to Fort Saskatchewan. Of course, our Eastgate Industrial Park is also having growth as well, with many new businesses, and the one that I want to highlight is, of course, Shelby West, who has the only dealership for Shelby in Western Canada. But of course, we know they're not the only ones in the Eastgate, and we are pleased to report that last year, a total of 98 new business licenses were issued. Our economic development team, Mark Morrissey and Mike Erickson, give a wave, thank you, continue to reach out to business to find ways we can join them in building a stronger community. And as Mark spoke at one of our previous council chamber meetings, he talked about some of the initiatives that they have. We want to make sure that as businesses, you're contacting them. If there's something that you haven't seen or there's an opportunity that potentially exists, we say, contact Mark and Mike, and they're going to be sure to see if they can address your needs. They will be here throughout this state of the city and after this, so please take the time. If you have questions, go over and talk to them. Our leadership team also recognizes that we have to help our citizens on the move. So we have participated with Strathcona County, Sturgeon County, and the City of Edmonton and Alberta Transportation to fund the design and replacement of a new heavy haul bridge that is just south of the city. And it's finally nice to be able to report that as we're doing this study, that we're finally starting to see some traction. So we need to make sure that we keep the momentum going with the provincial government. Last fall, we also wrapped up our growth study, which was spurred by unprecedented growth in recent years and subsequent questions from our development industry as they ask us, what is your plan for the future? Who could have predicted that we would have basically moved from no growth to the end of the last century to a boom that Fort Saskatchewan and our region have been experiencing in the past decade? The situation has required us to begin exploring what this means for our city. The growth study is now in the hands of our colleagues at Strathcona County, and we're waiting for them to provide their thoughts and inputs on the study. We hope to have the input back soon, and we wait for that before we can begin our next steps. So on that one, all I can say is stay tuned. Now on to 2016. So I know what many people have been thinking because I have heard it around the community. 2016 won't be all wine and roses. Maybe, maybe not. But as your mayor, I see the challenges ahead as opportunities. As your council and city administration, we understand the adjustments that may be needed to make made along the way. But if we encounter any of those speed bumps, we want to ensure you that we will be conscious that if necessary, that we as a city will change our plans if needed. As community leaders, both public and private, we must look to a long-term, but be still mindful of the short-term realities. And as a regional centre, we must continue to strive to be a community of choice for the current and future residents and businesses. We know our region, Fort Saskatchewan, will continue to see investment. So right now, there are over 15 million worth of industrial projects in the works or awaiting approval for this region. And I've always said it at these meetings, is it's always about location, location, location. And some of these projects will include their own spin-offs. And we are at the center of it all, making Fort Saskatchewan a city that offers all you need. The Alberta's Industrial Heartland and our Economic Development Department are responding to strong expressions of interest in what Fort Saskatchewan and this region have to offer. In addition, the Canadian Energy Research Institute showed that the low cost and abundant feedstock in the province is a key factor for competitive petrochemical sector in Alberta. And Fort Saskatchewan is in the heart of it all. The provincial government's announcement on Monday only serves to once again increase our confidence. And if you missed it, it's a new petrochemicals diversification program that was introduced to encourage methane and propane upgrading here in Alberta by providing royalty credits to new facilities. These new plants could lead to 3,000 construction jobs and 1,000 full-time industry jobs once they're up and running. They'll also mean a potential $3 to $4 billion in capital investment. And based on our location, Fort Saskatchewan will likely see benefit if these facilities go ahead, as they are likely to be on our doorstep. I was reminded earlier that a local development is already in the works, and that is by Tidewater Midstream, an Alberta-based midstream company. They bought the old ATCO extraction plant in Fort Saskatchewan that was shuttered in 2014, and Tidewater plans on reopening this plant, and they are assessing the possibility of expanding. This speaks once again to investor confidence. And last week at City Council, Council agreed to the design work for the Highway 15 and 119th Street intersection. So we are shovel ready to service the adjacent industrial area. And there is a very strong indication that a new project is close at hand. So saying all this, Council does understand the immediate challenges that many of you are facing. And most importantly, Council has heard your concerns related to the residential and non-residential tax split. So movement was made to close the gap during the 2016 budget deliberations. And I expect the conversation to continue into the future and be part of the 2017 budget discussion. Part of that discussion, of course, will involve ensuring that we continue to strengthen our community as a regional center, a destination point for businesses and visitors, and as a place for people to call home. Council has worked very hard over the last 5 years to ensure that we have got our finances in order, and we've made good progress. And Fort Saskatchewan is finally in a good financial position to begin making changes such as these, and we look forward to moving forward on other projects. So we will continue to provide our essential and core services and infrastructure upgrades. However, we also have the opportunity to be implementing some new infrastructure and facilities that could also enhance our city. Here are some of the highlights that we can look forward to. So first, our local transit pilot project wrapped up in 2015, and what arose from the new information and ideas about how we can make local transit a better option for Fort Saskatchewan residents. This year, Council will examine the most efficient and desired bus routes throughout our city to ensure our youth, our seniors, our disabled, and those who are simply environmentally conscious have a reasonable alternative to driving around the city and getting these individuals into your businesses. Funding through the Provincial Green Trip Grant is expected to help offset some of these costs. And we're hoping that the task force will wrap up and be implemented, hopefully by the fall of this year. But if we want to make sure that we get it right, we are prepared to wait till the early part of 2017. But we have 3 excellent council members who I'm sure are going to work very diligently to get this going by this fall. So second, the Recreation Master Plan. It provides for some quick wins, but it also provides for a vision of the future. Some of the quick wins will include building partnerships with our local community-based groups to serve the diverse needs of our residents. And this includes assisting the Mixed Slow Pitch Association to expand the Dow Diamonds and improve access and parking. And we've been told if they can have the additional diamonds, it will give them the ability to bring more tournaments to our community. And likewise, we're setting aside matching funds for a new skateboard park that awaits the fundraising efforts of Fort Saskatchewan Skate Society to go ahead. Thirdly, a refresh of the 55-year-old curling facility will begin. While the city will pay for this work on the Municipal Sustainability Initiative grant funding, we'll aim to work with the Fort Saskatchewan Golf and Curling Club to help maintain the building once it is improved. Now, at the larger end of the scale, we are planning a high-performance sports field to accommodate our athletes. This will establish a home base for local teams and enhance our sports tourism opportunities. The $7.5 million project would allow our local football teams, soccer and rugby teams to finally host home games and tournaments. And funding for that will come from the Municipal Sustainability Grant, which is already provided by the province. Now, everybody always tells me stick to script, but I think this is very important. I was at the Judo Provincial Tournament on the weekend, and I was talking to many of the people who were visiting there. And this is very good information for the businesses that are sitting here, because they said, we're so fortunate to have the Dow Centre and have that facility that they can offer the provincial tournament and have people come from across Alberta. They said, we're staying in your hotels, we're eating at your restaurants, we're filling up our cars and we're shopping in your stores. So you know what? Having these tournaments really does provide an economic benefit for each and every one of you that are sitting here. So you know what? It made me very proud that the judo was able to host this provincial games here. And you know what? It's got to be our goal to make sure that we can have more and more of them in our city. Now, as an abundance of caution though, regarding the sports field, Council has asked for more details on the future operational impact on the sports field facility before we will actually press the final go button. We do believe it's going to be a go, but we just want to make sure that we're exercising caution. Now, caution is also warranted as we look at improvements at our aquatics capacity. Now, people have said to us they're looking for more new aquatics. So, what would it look like? A new aquatic center at the DCC, a revitalized harbor pool, or a combination of both? And as part of the consultation process, we clearly heard there needs to be more swimming options, but that has yet to be determined. So as this is a very large investment, Council wants to take the extra step in consultation process and hear from the community via plebiscite before a final plan is put into place. At this time, I anticipate that once again, because we want to get this right, it will probably happen in the fall of this year. Now, looking forward ahead in the plan, there's also plans to renovate the JRC and to add additional ice surface by either twinning the ice at the Dow Centennial Centre or even perhaps the JRC. Nothing has been determined yet. The plan provides for a number of other small important projects, and all of these were identified by our citizens. And we as a council are doing our very best to balance these projects. We ask for your patience as implementation does take time. And although the Rec Master Plan does set out a 12-year plan, flexibility has been built in to adjust for trials and opportunities as they arise. Recreation is a key component to building a healthy and thriving community, but Council understands the wise allocation of tax dollars is a big part of the equation. Now, as I stand here, I'm going to ask you to reflect. I'd like you just to reflect as I'm talking about these initiatives. I'd like you to reflect on how far our community has come over the past several years. Because we really do have so much to be proud of, and so much of this is based on council decisions over the past and the present. I want you to think about how we've created a historic precinct, that we've added a fort to Fort Saskatchewan, that we've enhanced our downtown so our businesses have a great opportunity to thrive, that the Council of the Day said, cross the highway, and as many of you know, by crossing the highway has resulted in all of the new businesses and residential that has occurred. We built the new City Hall and expanded library, the West River's Edge Pavilion, which is home to the Nordic Ski Club, along with new trails in the River Valley development, and building a new headquarters for our RCMP and municipal enforcement. We donated land for the new Dr. Turner Lodge, but the one that moves me the most is the fact that we found a home for Families First. So these are just a few decisions the Council has made over the last years, but these decisions are what have built our community, our Fort Saskatchewan, as a community of choice. And even in the hard times, the times of uncertainty, the City of Fort Saskatchewan has done well, and that is thanks to the leadership in our community. And I'm not just talking about council leadership, I'm talking about the leadership of everyone sitting here in this room. But my hope here today is that we've given you enough reasons to look forward this coming year to assure you that we will continue to see growth in development, in population, and in business. This is a wonderful place to call home, and I'm proud that ongoing growth means that we can share our community spirit with our residents. And in closing, I leave you with this. And I know it's going to sound a little bit like Star Trek, but bold steps have been taken in the past. And the result is the community that we live in here today. My hope is that together we can continue to take these bold steps to pave the way for future generations. The road isn't always easy, but as Neil Walsh has said, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. So thank you for joining me here as we celebrate the city, what we are, and even the greater city that we are becoming. Our city, our Fort Saskatchewan. Thank you.